Right, welcome back to High School ICT. In our next lesson we want to look at placing and editing of images. We want to look at how we can place an image with precision. We can look at how we place it relative to a page and relative to text. In a previous video I did show you how we can insert different objects, and in this video I want to show how we do it with placing images on our page, and we'll also look at how we resize an image to keep the aspect ratio of an image and cropping an image as well. Right, let's get started. So I've placed an image. Just to recap, to do that, insert, shapes, and I chose an image either from this device, which will be stored on my computer, stock images, or online. In this case I took something from stock images and I've placed my image in my text. When I click on my image, you'll see that, let's just go to home, let's click off, you see to the right of the help tab, if I click on my picture format tab pops up, and if I click on it, and you would recognize this from the video that I did inserting an object or inserting shapes, very much the same. And again we've got our picture styles grouping, we've got our range grouping, we've got our size grouping, etc. So you can manually go and change the size of your picture clicking over here. Okay, you can click the more button, that'll bring up the position, text wrapping, and size. And again, if you look at our arrange grouping, position, wrapping text is the same as when we went to size and we clicked on this little arrow over here for the more options. Okay, so I'm going to click on position. I can then choose where I want to place my picture. Okay, and if I go to more layout options, it brings up that same pop-up box that you saw when I clicked on the more button on the size grouping. I can choose the alignment. I would like it left, or I'd like it right aligned. I can say relative to the page, the column, character, etc. We can decide. I'll choose right margin, click OK, and it goes over to the right hand side. I can also choose to have an absolute position relative to the right hand margin, or right of the margin. Okay, so right of the left hand margin, and if I bring it down to negative, it moves it over to the left, and if I bring it over into positive, moves it more to the right. And I could have page, column, etc. Okay, so you could go play around with those and see how that works. And what we've done, we've moved it horizontally. I can move it vertically. So horizontally, if you think of your Cartesian plane, it would be your x-axis, and your vertical would be your y-axis. And again over here, vertically, I can move it to have it go up or down. Okay, so that is if I want to do it manually. I want to choose exactly what the alignment is going to be. I might want to lock it, I want to move it with text, etc. So let's have a look at that. Move object with text. So I'm going to do that, and if I click enter, you can see, and remember, just as a little aside, every time we click the enter key it creates an empty paragraph. We never do that if we want to have moved to a new line. That creates a new paragraph each time. Okay, right, so what we want to look at now, if I click on my picture again, picture format, and I look at my position, as I said to you, we can move it with the text, or If we don't click that option, when we click on our text, our picture will stay. If we look at text wrap, we can decide to wrap it square, tight, through, behind the text, in front of the text. You can see how it changes on my screen. Okay, we can move with text. We saw that when we clicked on our position button, etc. And more layout options again brings up the same box. And that's the nice thing about Word. There are about 3 or 4, sometimes 5 different ways that you can get to the same result. If you right click, you can also bring it to the front, send it to the back, wrap the text. You can size and position, and you can format the picture, which will also allow you to do the same on your ribbon at the top. If you don't want to use the position tab and to manually go and decide where you want to place it with precision, you can also left click and grab your picture, and you can move that around and decide exactly where you want to place it. And if you click on your picture, you have this little box that pops up. In the old versions of Word, you won't have this little layout option pop up. You'd have to look for it in your ribbon, but it is there. And again, move with text, fixed position, and I can decide how I want my picture to look. Right, the other thing that you can do with your picture, as with your shapes, you can grab it at the top over here, and you can move it around. If you grab it from this side, you can flip it over. Okay, and if you want to keep your aspect ratio the same, in other words, the amount of pixels on the horizontal and the vertical, if you grab it in the left or one of the corners and you pull that, it keeps your aspect ratio to be the same. The other thing that we can look at, if we go to our position tab again, and we click on more layout options, and we look at size. Remember, I said to you that you can grab your picture and you can size it by pulling it on the edges, and if you grab the corners, it will lock the aspect ratio. And over here you can actually set it so at the moment I've locked the aspect ratio, and if I change my height and my width, you can see the height and the width start to change. Okay, and I can move that in so I can choose exactly how precise I want that. And it's the same as if I grab it manually and I do that. So let's go to more layout options and size, and you can see it's gone down to 67%. Okay, and that's going to take it, make it a bit bigger, or I can pull it bigger. And again, to more layout options, to size, and if I don't lock the aspect ratio, then I can choose to change the height. And you can see the width did not move, and size not locked, and let's make this a lot bigger, and you can see what's happened to my picture. So I'd grab this and pull this, and so you can do it manually as well. Grab the sides, make a picture wider, smaller, etc. Okay, so those are some of the things that you can do when setting the size of your image using the aspect ratio. Right, the other thing we want to look at, so you want to crop a picture, you want to take a piece out. So I'm going to right click, okay, and I'm going to choose to crop, and in my size grouping the crop tab sits over here. If I click crop, then I can choose what I'd want of my picture. Maybe I only want that part. Okay, so that's something that you can do as well.